Let's talk about travel or club teams and whether or not, if your son or daughter wants to play in one, what you need to know as a mom or a dad. A lot of this you should know, first of all, and again, there are pros and cons about all sorts of travel teams and club teams. And by the way, I use travel and club interchangeably, although obviously there are differences. First of all, the first question you have to confront is whether or not it's even a good idea for your son or daughter to play on a travel team. Now, depending on the sport and depending where you live, travel teams can start as early as literally 8 or 9 years old. I would caution you about whether or not you want your youngster to start below the age of 10, even 11. Now, I realize some sports are different. For example, ice hockey usually starts at a younger age, things like figure skating as well. But the bottom line is you have to do your homework. Do your due diligence as a parent. You can't be always polite about this because you're going to have to ask some tough questions before you basically sign up your youngster to play on a travel or club program. First of all, the questions you have to ask, and you go right to the coach or the administrator, whoever's in charge, you say, okay, tell me an idea of what kind of commitment we're signing up for. Because it's not just going to be your child, it's going to involve the family as well. Obviously, your youngster doesn't know how to drive at that age. You'll be the one transporting them to and from practice. There'll be games, there'll be away games, there'll be tournaments, and it pretty much goes throughout the entire year. So first of all, you got to get a sense of the overall cost. Now, they may just give you a number, what it costs to join the team. But bear in mind, when you go on the road, those costs may not be included in the cost that they're charging you from the team. So you have to take into consideration everything from hotels, meals on the road, transportation, and so on and so forth. As you've heard, these kind of costs can run literally into the thousands of dollars each year. And if you have more than one child who wants to play in a travel team, keep that in mind as well, because this is going to affect perhaps your family budget. Number two, ask the coach or ask the administrator, what is the team policy if your youngster is going to miss a practice or even game during the course of the season? Well, let's face it, there are lots of things that get in the way of practice and games during the course of a year. It could be a wedding, it could be a family vacation, it could be who knows what. Find out in advance what happens if your youngster misses a practice, misses a game, misses a tournament. Will he or she be penalized the following week when they come back to play in another game? It's the kind of question that most parents are a little shy about asking, but you better know up front before you sign the dotted line. Number three, ask about playing time. You know, travel teams, and I say this on my radio show all the time, travel teams, a lot is caveat emptor, the buyer beware. Understand that travel teams, club teams in this country are not in any way regulated, overseen, certified, nothing when it comes to the government or the states. They're just basically anybody can put out a shingle and say, I'm running a travel or a club team. Now, of course, some of these things are overseen by organizations within the travel world. Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't mean that they have any real responsibility or accountability to anybody in the government or at the state, unlike, let's say, for example, with schools. So you have to understand that some travel teams will tell you up front, no, our philosophy here is we are about winning and winning at all costs, as opposed, let's say, to saying, no, any kid that's on the travel team is guaranteed to play in at least half of every game. Again, that's an important question to ask because your kid may end up on a team, may not be one of the better players in the coach's mind, and your son or daughter ends up sitting on the bench most of the time. That's not good. So again, that's the kind of question you got to ask up front. Again, question is, are we talking about winning at all costs, only the best players play, or are we here for the coaches to develop the skills that my son or daughter may have in that particular sport? You also want to ask, finally, if the coach, when is he or she available to talk to you if you have questions throughout the course of the year? Will they respond to emails, text messages? Will they have hours in the day they can talk on the phone? Again, find out what their availability is and how often they can talk to you if you have a concern. And just one other PS. Find out if the coach is a yeller and a screamer. Kids today don't respond to coaches who yell and scream. Most of us don't. Go find another parent who had a son or daughter who played on that travel team for that coach in years past, and find out from that parent if the coach is a yeller and screamer or actually has the know-how how to communicate well with their athletes. I'll see you next time right here on Ask Coach Wolf.